You're watching Football Daily, and this is our 11 of players that were ruined by their manager. Just a note, this was written by Patrick van Straten, so direct any and all abuse at him. Goalkeeper, Wojciech Szczesny. Okay, so he wasn't ruined as a player, but Wojciech Szczesny could have solved Arsenal's goalkeeper problem for 10 years if Arsene Wenger hadn't decided the pole was a problem not worth solving. Szczesny joined the Gunners at 16 and made his first team debut 3 years later, becoming the club's first choice stopper by 21. But despite winning a Premier League Golden Glove and helping the club lift 2 FA Cups after a 9-year trophy drought, Szczesny found himself dropped in favour of David Ospina in 2015. The change came after a 2-0 defeat away at Southampton, where the pole was at fault for both goals, and after the game, he broke one of Wenger's strictest rules, earning himself a £20,000 fine after he was found smoking in the showers. That, somehow, was the last straw, with Szczesny playing just 5 more times for the club before he was loaned out to Roma, missing only 4 matches in 2 seasons. Arsenal have since spent €38 million on Petr Cech and Bernd Leno, while Szczesny became the heir to Buffon at Juventus, picking up a League and Cup double in 2018. Defender, Winston Bogarde. Claudio Ranieri has earned a reputation as one of football's best man managers since his 2016 title win with Leicester, but the Italian was not always so respected. He coached Chelsea between 2000 and 2004, a period which coincided with Dutch defender Winston Bogarde's spell in West London. Bogarde had won the Champions League and a pair of titles with Ajax in the mid-90s before following coach Louis van Gaal to Barcelona, where he was a champion twice more. A tall and commanding defender, the centre-back was lured to Stamford Bridge by friend and compatriot Mario Melchiot at the age of 30, with the club's director of football Colin Hutchinson approving the acquisition despite the Blues having just sacked Gianluca Vialli and not confirming that Ranieri was the new boss yet. It was an unwise move, as just 2 weeks later, Ranieri asked Bogarde to leave. The Dutchman refused, reasoning that he was unlikely to pick up the same wage anywhere else, and he spent the next 4 years training diligently so that Chelsea would not have the grounds to terminate his contract. On Ranieri's watch, Bogarde went from useful veteran to a sinkhole swallowing money, and he only left the club when his contract came to an end in 2004, at which point he retired permanently. Defender, Eric Bailly. Really, Pato? Villarreal under Marcelino was one of La Liga's best defensive outfits, conceding just 116 goals in 114 games during his 3 years in charge, a remarkable record for a sub-elite side. Players like Gabriel, Masaccio and Bruno became sought-after commodities under the Spaniard, and in 2015 he paid just under €6 million to bring Eric Bailly in from Espanyol. The Yellow Submarine conceded under a goal a game that season. After just 1 year, Bailly turned Villarreal a €32 million profit when Jose Mourinho made him his first signing for Manchester United. Bailly excelled immediately, demonstrating a combination of tremendous physical presence and a strong game reading at just 22 years old, and was United's Player of the Month in his first 4 weeks at the side. But a knee injury hampered his campaign, and the following year, Mourinho seemed to have lost all faith in the defender, limiting him to 13 league appearances and bizarrely claiming that he was not playing due to the Ivory Coast not qualifying for the 2018 World Cup. Now linked with moves away from Old Trafford amid interest from Arsenal, Tottenham, Milan and PSG, Bailly has gone from a world-class prospect in the making to just another star on the Jose Mourinho scrap heap. Maybe a bit harsh, he has been injured, but in the words of Patrick van Straten, the manager let him down. Defender, Javier Mascherano. To fans of every team except Barcelona, Javier Mascherano will be remembered as one of the modern era's outstanding defensive midfielders. The Argentine excelled alongside Steven Gerrard and Xabi Alonso at Liverpool and anchored his national team as they reached the World Cup final in 2014, leading the competition in tackles and helping the side not to concede in 330 minutes of knockout matches. But after his €20 million move to Barcelona in 2010, Mascherano often found himself playing at centre-back at club level under Pep Guardiola, despite standing just 5'9". According to Transfermarkt, over 250 of his 334 appearances for the Blaugrana came at the heart of defence, and though he won 5 titles and 2 Champions Leagues whilst playing there, the role failed to make the most of his excellent recovery pace and strong passing ability. His relegation to centre-back saw Mascherano consider leaving the Nou Camp many times, and he later described his time at Barca as a half-empty glass, saying it was the only way to hold on to something. To survive here and stay in a team like this, I thought I'm going to have a lot more opportunities as a central defender than I am as a midfielder. Instead of ending his career as one of the best holding midfielders in the world, Mascherano merely became a decent centre-back. Central midfield, Ander Herrera. Another talent crushed by Man United, according to Patrick van Straten that is. Ander Herrera was bought to England by Louis van Gaal in 2014. Having played over 2,000 league minutes 5 years running at Bilbao, something he has managed just once in 4 years since. And it wasn't just his game time which suffered at Old Trafford. A solid creator in Spain, he'd actually laid on 2 goal-scoring opportunities per 90 in his last year with Athletic Club, a number which has dropped to 0.8 in 2017-18. After contributing to 10 goals in his farewell campaign, Herrera was involved in another 10 in that debut season with United. But it was LVG who moved him deeper into midfield, where he has since remained, not scoring for the club in the league since April 2017. Now it's easy to chalk that up to his conversion into a defensive midfielder, but surely that's too simple of an excuse. At Bilbao, Herrera would make around 3.5 tackles per match to the 4 he's averaged at United, but he rarely got a challenge wrong, with an opponent only dribbling past him about a fifth of the time. Now he gets beaten on half of his tackle attempts. Once a classy playmaker tipped for Barcelona and Spain, Herrera became LVG's enforcer, a hatchet man employed purely to man-mark dangerous opponents. Perhaps that was why he still has just 2 caps for his country. Midfielder, Nuri Sahin. Amazingly, it took putting him in this script for us to realise that Nuri Sahin is now 30 and playing for Werder Bremen. The Turkish midfielder made his name at Borussia Dortmund, having joined the club at 13, and went on to be a key part of a 2010-11 title-winning side under Jurgen Klopp, missing just 4 games. That season, Sahin scored 6 and assisted 8 in 30 appearances, and created an incredible 3.6 chances a game. That's more than Lionel Messi has managed in any season of his career. And Real Madrid took notice, Mourinho adding the then 22-year-old to his midfield options. Unfortunately, Sahin's lack of mobility made him a bad partner for Xabi Alonso, and Mourinho gave him just 4 games in La Liga, though he did get a title winner's medal at the end of the campaign. The next year, Sahin went to Liverpool on loan, a move that only lasted until January, with Brendan Rodgers failing to be impressed. After 11 games in 18 months, the midfielder returned to Dortmund, but had just 1 good season in the next 5. He's made over 20 league appearances just once since 2011, and joined Werder Bremen for nothing in 2018. Midfielder, Jesus Navas. A lethally quick winger, Jesus Navas joined Sevilla at 15 and spent a further 13 years with the Andalusians before joining Manchester City in 2013. The Spaniard won 6 trophies with Sevilla and was named La Liga's best attacking midfielder in 2009-10 over Iniesta and Kaká, and was involved in 17 league goals in 2011-12, using his blistering pace to terrify the division's left-backs. However, Manuel Pellegrini built a City side around careful midfield passing triangles, not traditional wide play. And though Navas had missed just 2 domestic games and played over 3,300 minutes in each of the 2 years before his switch, he averaged just over half that in each of his 4 campaigns in the Prem. Despite being a City player until 2017 somehow, Navas' last league goal for the club came in January 2014, and he ended up contributing to only a goal every 4 games for the Citizens. Never particularly well liked in Manchester, Navas returned to his hometown last season, and at the time of writing, he's provided 4 assists in 10 appearances so far this season. Attacking midfielder, Juan Mata. Whilst Juan Mata is certainly still a useful player, his spectacular start to life in England is often forgotten. A €27 million acquisition from Valencia, he was involved in 19 league goals in his debut season with Chelsea and 24 in his second, winning the Champions League in 2012 and earning the club's Player of the Year award in both of his full campaigns in West London. After missing just 7 Premier League matches out of 76, his third season proved difficult. As Jose Mourinho returned to Stamford Bridge, Mata played just 40% of the available minutes over the first half of the campaign. With Oscar preferred, the Spaniard was keen to move on, and a desperate Man United floundering under David Moyes offered the Blues €45 million for their World Cup winning number 10. It seemed to have paid off at first, as Mata was involved in 10 goals in just 14 starts over the run-in, but his best tally in a full season since has been 13. After providing an assist every 227 minutes in London, he's done it every 477 minutes at Old Trafford, and seen his creativity stifled by the likes of Louis van Gaal and Mourinho once again. Mata will end his career with a reputation of an excellent player and an all-round nice guy, but not the superstar he once promised to be. Midfielder Alexander Hleb. Pep Guardiola is generally considered to be a genius when it comes to improving players, but his recruitment has had its sketchy moments. Let's not forget his treatment of Mario Götze at Bayern, while Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who remains his most expensive signing ever, was a total disaster at Barcelona, and so was Alexander Hleb, the gifted Belarusian who joined the Blaugrana for €17 million in 2008 after 3 strong years with Arsenal. In many ways, Hleb was a Poundland Iniesta, an intelligent dribbler and passer who never put up huge scoring numbers, though he had been involved in a goal every 3 games in his last year with the Gunners. The problem was that at Barca, they had the real deal, and although Pep gave Hleb chances, with Iniesta making fewer league appearances in 2008-09 than in any other year during his 20s, the Spaniard ended the season as clear favourite, being named the second best player in La Liga behind Messi, as Barca won an unprecedented sextuple. A year later, Iniesta would come second in the Ballon d'Or, while the 27-year-old Hleb spent the next 3 years out on loan. He would end up changing club 12 times in the next 9 seasons. Forward, Roberto Soldado. When Gareth Bale left Tottenham in 2013, Spurs famously embarked on a €120 million shopping spree, then a huge amount of money. And while some signings were successful, with Christian Eriksen joining for under €14 million, the jewel in the crown was meant to be Roberto Soldado, a €30 million capture from Valencia, with a record of 82 goals over the past 3 seasons. In fact, Soldado had averaged 20 league strikes per campaign in his time at the Mestalla, but he arrived at a side working out how to score without Bale. Under Andre Villas-Boas, the Welshman had taken or assisted 173 of Spurs' 681 Premier League shots the year previously. That's roughly 25%. And Soldado struggled to get chances in the new-look Lily-White side. While he still got off more than 2 shots from inside the box a match, most of his close-range efforts were headers, which are harder to score. 14% of his attempts were headed at Valencia, but that rose to 20% in London and 29% in his second season. After 2 campaigns and AVB's departure, the then 30-year-old Soldado left for Villarreal, having cost Tottenham around €11,000 per minute played and €1.9 million per goal. Having netted 24 in La Liga in his final term with Valencia, he scored 25 goals in the 5 years since. Forward, Wilfried Bony. When Wilfried Bony arrived in Swansea as a 24-year-old in 2013, he was coming off the season of his life. The Ivorian had bagged 37 goals in 36 games for Vitesse Arnhem the previous year, equalling Ruud van Nistelrooy's best tally in the Eredivisie and bettering Brazilian Ronaldo's. And his €13 million switch to Wales was a great success, as he averaged a goal every other game for the club. But after a year and a half, and despite a soaring performance which would see the Swans finish 8th in 2015, Bony was keen to move on to a Champions League side. And Man City were willing buyers, at that point sitting second in the Prem and keen to strengthen their forward options, with Jovetic injured and Dzeko in the middle of a 15-game goalless run. Bony joined for €32 million, and although City finished as Prem top scorers in both his seasons at the Etihad, the striker netted just 6 times and played just 36 games. A subsequent spell at Stoke and a return to Swansea only added another 5 goals to Bony's career total, and at 29, he can't even get a game for the Swans in the Championship. So that was our list, but have you got any suggestions or people you think we missed? Why not let us know in the comments below. There's another video playing on screen now, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit like and subscribe.